As someone who's worked in the heating and air for years, I've been in countless older homes across the Twin Cities, and I can tell you there's one thing that keeps me up at night: asbestos. This stuff was everywhere in older buildings: insulation, ductwork, pipe wrapping, and disturbing it can release dangerous fibers into the air. That's why I want to tell you about solutions for asbestos-free environments. Acronym: SAFE, S-A-F-E. And trust me, that acronym says it all, because safety is exactly what they deliver. They're certified by Minnesota Department of Health and fully compliant with EPA and OSHA standards. We at Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric use SAFE for abating asbestos during older boiler and gravity furnace replacements. Our electrical team relies on them when drilling through asbestos sidings and floors. I trust them with my customers' safety, and that says everything. Whether you're replacing that old furnace, renovating, or buying property, SAFE provides professional inspections and certified removal services. I've seen what happens when people skip the inspection and just start tearing into walls. Don't take chances. Visit Asbestos.Services to learn more and schedule your inspection today. That's Asbestos.Services, ASBESTOS.Services, because your safety matters.
From working in his family's Chinese restaurant, to bartending, to becoming present-day owner of Twin City Heating, Air, and Electric, my father's true superpower is human connection. Now, he's on a mission to capture the most fascinating stories that make up the Minnesota community. You're listening to the Twin City Tales podcast.
Welcome back to Twin City Tales, the podcast dedicated to sharing the inspiring journeys of local entrepreneurs, professionals, and community members right here in the Twin Cities. I'm your host, Wyman Wong, and together with my son, we're committed to highlighting the background, growth, and contributions of people who make our community thrive. Today, I'm excited to introduce you Rachel Edwards, founder of and owner of Insperai. Rachel has built something unique in our community, a holistic approach to understanding personality behavior that goes beyond traditional assessments. Insperai isn't about putting people in boxes with labels. It's about giving them a language to express their true selves and actionable steps to move forward. Working alongside her husband, Nate, who is their vice president of business development, Rachel is passionate about helping businesses build trust and culture from the inside out. She believes that people, not just products or processes, are the heart of every successful business. Today, we're going to dive into her journey, explore what makes Insperai different, and discuss why trust might be more valuable than performance alone. So let's celebrate Rachel's story and discover how she makes a difference right here in the Twin Cities. Welcome to Twin City Tales, Rachel.
Thanks, Wyman. I'm very excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. And you grew up in Elk River, huh?
I did grow up in Elk River, born and raised up until I was about graduated high school. My dad sold our house. So when I had my graduation party, my high school graduation party, it was an empty house, and we had our grad party outside in the garage in the yard. Nobody went in the house because we were closing on it 2 days later. So then he moved up to our lake house in Aiken, and so that was my journey in Elk River.
Wow. And you know, kind of like everybody's heard of Elk River, but I always think of when I see Elk River, I think Now Then, Minnesota, right? And then people are like, where's Now Then? Is that like way up in like by Baudette or something?
Right.
Right. So it's an interesting area of town to grow up in, I bet.
It is. Yeah. We actually, the motto used to be where city meets country, and I don't rarely go that direction anymore, but there was a time within the last couple of years since we moved back that I did drive through, and they've changed their motto. I don't know what it is now, but it's not that anymore. But it used to be like the northernmost suburb area of Minneapolis, where you could be close enough to city but have land. We actually had 12 acres. My parents originally wanted to have a hobby farm. Never did it. But so we had all this land, and I lived out in essentially the middle of nowhere. But we were close enough to the cities and being able to get around but still have that rural feel.
Yeah. And I know, I know that this might be a little bit harder subject, but I know that we talked a little bit about your past a while back, and
Yeah.
you talked about like you lost your mother at a young age, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and that was when you were going through Elk River High School.
Yep.
And you were graduating, and
Yep.
and part of the reason why your dad was probably selling the house. And
Absolutely. Yeah, she passed away when I was 15. It was on the last day of school in 10th grade. I remember that very, very distinctly where I was. Cell phones were out, but they weren't common. And I remember waiting for my dad to pick me up, and where was he? He wasn't coming. And so I borrowed a friend's phone, and that's when I found out that she had passed. So it was a very distinct moment in my memory. And it shaped a lot of my path moving forward. And she wasn't my only loss. I had a couple of other losses between the ages of 15 and 20 that really shaped who I am and really valuing the people that I surround myself with and being intentional. And, life is short, making bucket lists and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the point of just living through life, right? Like you can like look at things like, why does this happen to me, right? Or why does this happen? Or you can look at, it's happened to me, and I like your attitude, like how you just move forward. Like you just got to go, okay, it happened.
Yep.
And this is where I'm at right now, and it's created who you are today.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is really awesome. And then so right after high school, I think you said something about you went off to college.
Yep.
And where did you end up going to college?
I went to the University of Minnesota Duluth. Go Bulldogs.
Dan was a Bulldog also behind the camera.
Yes, I love it.
What a fun town that is,
It
too.
is.
And what a beautiful city to be in. Did you go all 4 years, too?
I did. I went up there, and actually after my first year, I had thought, okay, this is a mistake. I'm going to transfer down to the main U. And I did successfully, but then changed my mind before it was time to register for classes. And when I started that process, UMD was like, you're not registered here. You're down at the main U. And I was like, oh, well, I'm changing my mind. I would like to stay. And so they were able to switch it back, and I ended up staying there for the full 4 years. And that's where I met Nate, and, I started that story.
So the first year that you were there, for people that don't know about UMD, that first year you live in a dorm.
Mm-hmm.
Like on campus.
Yep.
And the beauty of it, it's like habit trails there. Like you never have to go outside unless you get sick. Then you have to go outside to go see the doctor's office. But you can stay underground in these little habit trails to all your classes.
You can. I remember people in the middle of January, it's 20 below, and they're just walking around in sandals and shorts and tank tops throughout in school, because you're right. You don't ever have to go outside if you never want to.
And for up in Duluth, they can get super cold.
Yes.
Because it's further north than Minneapolis.
And snow. Lots of snow.
Yes. And the wind off that lake is super cold too. So,
yeah. It's a beautiful place, a beautiful place to visit. But it does have its fair share of a lot of cloudy, gray, foggy, snowy, rainy days.
Yeah, but nothing beats it in the fall and the spring.
Oh, for sure.
Going up on that North Shore, even this year I found out, even going down the South Shore, down towards Bayfield, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Just beautiful area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's God's country up there is what it really is.
Yeah, you are up there, and all of that is just gorgeous. I don't disagree.
Yeah. So, and when you went to Duluth, you majored in?
I majored in originally history, and I minored in psychology. And then I ended up finishing my psychology degree because I realized I only had 6 more classes. So it wasn't until a few years later that I just finished those classes through UMD, and then had the psych degree.
Okay. And then I know you had forensics there somewhere along the line too.
Yes, that ended up down in Florida,
Okay.
From Florida Gulf Coast University. I was working after I got my psych degree. I found myself working with the mental health court down in Lee County, and discovered that they had a forensics program at the FGCU, and thought, you know what? I'm already working in forensics. I would love to expand that education and knowledge base, and who knows where it'll take me. So I did get my master's in forensic behavioral analysis. So it's essentially why criminals do what they do, or why that behavior exists. And yes, it's like Criminal Minds, but without the theatrics. And actually, real life can be more theatrical than what you see on TV.
Really?
Oh, yes. We have lots of stories of when I was working in the criminal justice system. We used to say, you just can't make this stuff up. Like the things that we encountered, or the things that our clients would say. It was pretty wild.
So was it the TV shows that kind of go, hey, I'd like to do that? Or was it like just, I have a friend that was doing it?
For me, why I chose that direction.
Yeah.
It was really, I was already working in the criminal justice setting, and they happened to have that ideal program. And I have always been fascinated by behavior. And so it was just a way to hone in on a particular part of human behavior.
Yeah. So the Insperai kind of came from that, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And like, I sense that when you were doing the behavioral science on criminals, you actually worked with the inmates pretty closely.
Yes.
For a short time there. Were you ever afraid of being in those situations?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I worked for about a decade directly with inmates, whether that was from me. I started out as a case manager, and then I ended up being the director of the programs. And I would be right in jail. I'd go through jail, and the first couple of times you go through there, and this is down in Lee County, Florida, Fort Myers, and their jails are like old Southern jails. So like you imagine the bars, and they're like hanging their hands out, and they're cat calling at you as you're walking down, and hey, can I talk to you? Are you a lawyer? No, I'm not. I'm not a lawyer. But at first it was awkward. You almost feel like you're like the opposite of a zoo. Like you're the zoo animal and being watched at when you're working with them. We also would, as case managers, go into the field and go visit them at their home. But we were never allowed to carry anything. We weren't probation officers. We were just, we would say our defense is our clipboard, but we can't touch them because we don't want to be liable for anything. So, but as far as like fear, at first it was, I don't know if it was because I was naive. I wasn't necessarily, I never knew the fear. But if I think about it, I was definitely putting myself in situations that could be considered dangerous. But it was, you get used to it. And there were definitely some moments where inappropriate behavior occurred with the person, and we had to take steps. But mostly I always had to remember that these are humans, and they're people that are going through something, and our job was to help them get through that the best way that they can.
And you say Florida, and whenever you say Florida criminal system, first thing that always comes to my mind is whenever I watch the news, Florida man does this.
Florida man. There is a game.
Is there?
There is a game. I would like to get that game. I saw it at a one of those stores, boutique type stores, and I thought I want that, and then I've forgotten about it. But maybe it'll be my Christmas gift. But yeah, Florida man. The Florida man stories always. I had one of our clients was a Florida man story. Yes, and he also made Huffington Post. He made nationals. Yeah, he pretty crazy stories.
And that's why I have to admit, number one podcasts are usually crime podcasts.
Yes.
They say crime podcasts is like
Yes.
a big one. Like everybody loves listening to that, and sports. I think those are the two big ones.
Yes.
Hopefully business and Twin City people start ranking up there.
I think so. I think you have a good thing going here, Wymant.
Well, thank you. But more about you. I know that after you got done, you had this whole diverse career, and then the inmates modifying and helping their behavior, supporting their integration. That had a lot to do with Insperai. Could you tell me a little bit more about Insperai and how that actually got going for you?
Yeah. So it wasn't immediately after or during working with the inmates. It sort of was it's like a full circle moment. But I ended up taking a break from working with the inmates and in the field because I had my first son, and I thought I wanted to be the stay-at-home mom. Didn't take me long to realize that world was not for me. I needed a little bit more than that. And so this was also at the time that COVID was happening and the world was shutting down, right? And I was pregnant, and we ended up moving back to Minnesota during COVID. And I was just trying to figure out what my next steps were. Where can I put myself? So, I tinkered around in a couple different things, trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do entrepreneurial wise. Originally had the idea that I would go back into forensics in some fashion. But then I was working with a therapist and with a mindset coach myself, and I fell in love with the mindset coaching model that, you think, feel, do, think, feel, do, think, feel, do, and trying to improve self-awareness of your thoughts, create emotions, create action, create your results, and how you can actually take back control in that sense. And so I ended up becoming a certified mindset coach. And I also became a certified meditation instructor, and I opened up my first go-round entrepreneurial business of Pebblebrook Wellness. And I brought those two together and was coaching female professionals who were trying to balance all the things, like I was. So I was essentially, helping them, helping me help them, help me help them. And through that, I was looking for a tool that I could use to help me not only understand my clients, but guide them. And I looked at getting certified at all. There's hundreds of different personality assessments, right? And I wondered, well, isn't there something that looks at somebody from multiple domains, multiple lenses, how they influence and interact and how they show up in somebody. And then from that says, okay, based on how you're wired, these are what tools are going to work for them. These are what strategies are going to work for them. And let's create an action plan. And there wasn't. So that's where my tool, the Strategic Personality Blueprint, came about. Was I just created something for myself to use with my clients. And I originally trained it on like 8 different assessment tools. And then as I was using it, there was some more attention. People were interested in wanting to either use it for themselves as coaches, using it with their clients, or teams using it, just outside of just me using it. So after throughout the holidays last year, I actually, a business colleague, Marion, actually, when I love her, sit down, she's so great to brainstorm with. And I was telling her about, all these ideas I got going on, what do I want to do with this tool? I don't know. And she goes, and I told her my idea of it being like a living platform that, it not only understands your personality, but the more you use it evolves with the user. The strategies evolve. If you have life experiences, whatnot, it's essentially like a coach in your pocket, but like a deep coach, not like a superficial, just based on, labels or simple answers. And she said, Rachel, this is a tech company. And I was like, what? I'm not a tech person. I don't know what you're doing, what you're saying. Like, okay. So I sat on it throughout the holidays. And then in the beginning of this year, I said, okay, I'm going to take my vision and I'm going to pitch it around to some business strategists and see what if this has any interest. Connected with one, and she said, yeah, Vic Reedy, her name is Jolly. And she said, yes, let's do this. I would love to take this. And so that is my very long-winded story of how from working with inmates to creating this tool. And my dream, again, is to make it full circle, because right now it's working with coaches, it's individuals can take it, it's teams can take it, but I would love for it to be used in the correctional setting, mental health, behavioral health, substance abuse setting, because I think back to when I was helping inmates reintegrate. If I had a tool like this that could not only help us understand them, but then help us create our intervention plans or our reintegration plans, rehab plans, I know in my heart of hearts that our outcomes would be better and recidivism rates would go down, because you're tailoring their resources to them, as opposed to just blanket best practices, which are best practices for who? Maybe the general population, but not necessarily for everybody, right?
That's really good points you make there. I mean, different people react differently in different behaviors, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think the easiest way is, and I think we've learned that more recently, well, not even more recently, the last 30 years, is kids' behavior, they don't learn the same way. School isn't for every kid. And they're
Right.
starting to realize, like, okay, we have to figure out what really charges them in learning. Like,
Right.
some might be a STEM school,
Yeah.
some might be a different magnet school, some might be more vocational type of schooling.
Yeah.
And that's what's really interesting about your program. It
Yeah.
feels like that you do make it a little bit more towards, rather than labeling them and
Yes.
putting them in labels, right?
Yep.
But unfortunately, to a certain extent, maybe you can explain it to me a little bit better. Even with your program, you still have to label them to figure out how to correct them, right?
In a sense, yeah. So our tool, we actually look at somebody from 5 different domains. We look at their traits, behaviors, motivations, core values, and strengths. And we use DISC, Enneagram, and Big 5 framework, which, yes, it does the raw data, we call it, when they take the assessment. You can get your scores or your types or your style, whatnot. But that is like the beginning. That's just the surface of the assessment of the whole system, where we have that. But then when you get your report, your results, or you start working with the system, we explain it. We go deep into like giving that language to those labels. The life lives behind the labels, I say, and growth happens in the gaps between the labels. So labels are great for categorization. They're great for organizing. Our brain loves labels because that's how it likes to work a lot of times. But how often do we look at the labels that either we give ourselves or somebody else gives us or society? And what do they actually mean to us? So our intent with that tool is, yes, you get those labels, but then we look at how they actually interact and how do your motivations impact your behaviors? How do your traits, your natural tendencies impact and interact with your values, you know? So we allow you to give you that language that you've been looking for to explain how you've maybe felt your whole life, or allow you to leverage those labels to work on your goals or to achieve your goals. So we on the surface, yes, we are still using the labels to get that information, but that is just a tiny little part. That's just the surface of the whole system.
So I've asked people, have they heard of DISC? And probably, I don't know, it just feels like 50% of the population kind of have heard about DISC, depending on what crowds you run into, right? Like in the business world, I feel like
Very popular.
Probably 80% people know what DISC is, especially if you're looking at sales. Somebody who is really good about talking about DISC is Stephanie Havel with her program.
It's excellent.
And and then like I feel like the other one that, and this is just my sense from listening to you speak, and because you do a great job at that and talking about Insperai.
Yeah.
It's like almost like a super powered DISC along with Clifton Strength Finders, because you get that Clifton Strength Finders, which you have 33 types of, for lack of better words, labeling.
Yep.
But it does go into more breaking down of who the person is, right?
Yep.
So I feel like, between that, do you feel like yours is a little more like Clifton's to a certain extent, but Clifton's doesn't give you a way to react to it?
Yeah, so I can say we're really unlike anything out there.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare because we are owning our own domain of what we call applied personality intelligence, and really it's breaking down personality, understanding how we think, feel, and do, and then intelligently understanding how to use and apply that information. And so that's why I say, like, you really can't compare, because the way I look at it is Insight is really great. And a lot of tools often will give you amazing insight on one specific domain, right? Like your strengths or DISC, your communication, your leadership style, sales, whatnot, one lens. But it's static. It's like a snapshot in time. It doesn't evolve with you, and it doesn't play with the other parts of your personality. I like to say, as an example, if I were to give you 3 items, a pear, a pepper, and an apple, and let's say they're all green. And I can't do this visually, but let's say if you visualize all 3 of those, and I ask people when I'm presenting, I say, if I have all 3 of these and you give one word to describe all 3, what would it be? And most people say green. And I'm like, that's great. You're right. But are they the same things? No. Do they need the same things to thrive? No. They may be all green on the surface. And that's the same way of looking at people and looking at labels or one singular assessment, where you might have one person. I will use DISC, for example, because most people understand it. You can have 3 people that are high in D. They're direct, results-oriented, driven, but their underlying motivations and fears could be completely different. And so how they show up is directly impacted, and what they need to thrive is impacted. So you can have somebody who's really thrives off recognition and being told they're doing a good job and having direct, rules and guidelines that they need, and they constantly need to be able to know they're doing a good job and they're following them well, and they're a team player. Then you might have somebody else who is very analytical and detail oriented and really needs some time to process information before they go out there and are direct and results oriented. So on the surface, these 2 people show up similarly when they're engaging that directness. But below, you have somebody who says they need to be told that they're doing a good job, and that this other person says, before I move forward, I need to just take a few minutes to process this. So it's that's an easy example of just kind of showing how you may have one label, but it's great at showing one thing. But how does it interact in other parts of our personality? So we go 5 layers deep into how somebody is wired. And going back to the insights part, and we say you need to have insights plus strategy plus action, and that creates impact, because what we are looking for is not just really great insights, not just giving you an action plan, not just telling you what tools to try. We want you to have an impact. And unless all 3 of those are in play, it's kind of, you can be aimless, you can be overwhelmed, you can feel stuck. And we want to avoid all that. We want to tell you exactly what to do, how you are wired, and how to leverage it.
Gotcha. Does it work on the opposite side too? Because I know, like, when you do use DISC, what I mean by the opposite side is like, and I think it probably does, but maybe you can go into detail, but like, again, lack of better words, like, I'm not like a certain label, but I can tell, like, I gotta admit, the first thing that I usually, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or I'm crazy, but like, I still label people right away, and then I use that to try and harness that so that I can connect with them, right? Like, yep. I feel like you are probably a very high C analytical type of person.
Yep.
Because of what you kind of do with this.
Yep.
And you're a very high D. You're driven. You just like, I want things done. I want them done right. And I remember correcting me in English on some spelling earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, you are that person, right? So that person, I think that knowing that, I have to give your space. I have to go, I can't tell you I can tell you stories, but if I'm trying to connect with you and I start telling you a long rambling dissertation story, you're just like, oh my God, shoot me now. Just get to the point, But does your system work that way too? Like, for me to like take a quick assessment of who you are and then be able to framework that in to make a better connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do get your raw scores, and you did, when it comes to labels, there's nothing wrong with labels. It's each individual's perception and interpretation of that label. And that's where friction happens. And for the understanding part of it, of being able to see the raw scores, what your disc type is. We do disc Enneagram at Big Five, right? So you get those raw scores, you'll know what that is. But then we also describe them, like others do when you get a regular report. But we don't spend a lot of time. That's very short. We really just go into, okay, so because your disc style is this, and your Enneagram is this, your motivations show up, and this is how it plays up in your behavior. So a lot of times, if we're feeling stuck, frustrated, overwhelmed, things like that, it's because there's two different parts of our personality that are push-pull. And when I think, to answer your question as far as like self-awareness, we do, when you take a report, you will improve your self-awareness, but it'll also allow you to really understand and have that language to being able to better be aware of yourself, but then recognizing patterns in others, and not just labels, but being able to recognize patterns. And to answer, I am a very high C, but not D.
Really?
Yes.
I'm surprised at that. I don't know why. Maybe different situations.
But also my Enneagram, I'm a 4-wing 5, so I'm an individualist, but I have the 5 analytical side of me. So when I do things and when I am direct, and so I have the high C shows up in the detailed part, but when I do something, it has to have, I have to be fulfilled. It has to have meaning behind it. I'm very purpose driven. So if I find that I'm stuck in something, for instance, or I'm just like mundane, or I'm bored, or I'm just like, I have to pause and think, okay, which part of my personality is this? It's too analytical, too detailed. I'm too stuck in spreadsheets. What am I even doing here? Oh, I don't have enough meaning. There's no purpose in it. So I have to, find a way to bring some purpose into it, or remind myself what's my why. It's just, it allows me that self-awareness to check in, to tune in, to see what may be off. And that is one of the things that our tool does, is it allows you to understand yourself so that you are more aware of things, that when things are off, and when you can pivot, and when you can make those changes. And then what tools help you do that? What things are ideal for how you're wired? What action plan steps can you take to implement?
Interesting. Yeah. I'm excited because I know I just heard Erica Durkis speak at one of these business events, and she happened to bring up you, and that it's part of her coaching program.
Yes.
So I've decided to have another one-to-one. I have a one-to-one with her, and maybe jump in on that to see what that's like.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit off on the D, but I feel like maybe that's the reason why what yours works. I mean, I want to look at it. I'm really interested because, yes, I can label you a D right away just because I only see you in business situations, business networking, and how you speak, right? So I'm getting all this information, and I'm quickly like analyzing it and going, okay, that's the group she's in. But I have to admit, and maybe I'm far-reaching this, and I know you're a basketball fan to a certain extent, but if you're going to go out there and play on the court, you may not be a high D. You may be that person that's like, you know what? I just want to be friends with everybody. I'm going to be an S. Here.
Right. Depends on the situation.
I will pass you the ball whenever you want me to. I'm not a D. I don't care about scoring. I don't care about playing defense. I just want to be everybody's friend out here.
Yep. You are absolutely right. And that is the whole point of where I saw a gap in the whole industry of personality and assessments, psychometrics, whatnot, was that we forget that humans evolve, humans change depending on the setting they're in. And so often we just rely on the one, and we think that label is going to guide us through everything. And we're like, well, it doesn't necessarily fit here. Well, what does? So we provide that nuance that's missing in the other assessments out there.
That's really interesting that you brought that up about how you can provide that and then make somebody change their behavior. But in another sense, I sometimes feel like criminal behavior, right? Because since I have you here, because I'm sure a lot of people, I feel like the range that you've dealt with different people and understanding different people is really wide gap, right? And like I've sometimes and I've always said this about, especially my teams, right? Like, you can put a good person in a bad culture, in a bad situation,
Yeah.
they're going to do bad things. You can also put a bad person in a good culture and good situation, they are going to start doing good things. But I think recidivism happens a lot of times because the behavior stays the same, right? Like whether it be, I don't know if this is a good example, but there's women that will date guys that are very abusive because that's what they've seen and that's part of their behavior from when they were younger. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, you're not wrong. There's some traumatic history of a cycle. It is a theory. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your system, can that help correct that? Once you recognize it, I think sometimes it can.
Yep. Yeah, it allows you two things. One, when you brought up about putting good person in a bad situation or bad person in a good situation, I really think that it might be true if you were to look at percentages and data that might be the case, but I don't think it's true for everybody, and that's simply because of how we're wired. You might put that good person in a bad situation, and they may be the one that turns everybody around, right?
Yeah.
But it's understanding that on a human level, we all want to be heard. We all want to be understood. We all want to be seen, and we all want to be respected. And I think no matter if you are an inmate sitting in jail, you are a corporate climbing the ladder, you want to, at the very basis, we want to feel we have purpose. We want to feel that we're worth something. And that really directs a lot of our behaviors. And if we can help unlock the key to finding that purpose and fulfillment for you, I think that will help out in the long run, any setting, any person.
I have to agree with that. And I think in a business setting, it really truly starts with leadership, right?
Right.
I mean, a leader can't go around, expecting respect. They have to earn it from their people. And yes, just because you have the title,
right,
it doesn't give you the right to be a jerk. And in fact, I think being more cognizant of it, knowing your personality or knowing what your traits are, probably through Insperai, which I think would really help me. Yes, I know I'm a very high I, and I'll just say stuff off the cuff sometimes. And being a good leader, I got to remember my words are heavy, so I can't be the high I that I sometimes am in front of my friends playing cards with them, as opposed to at a team meeting with 25, 30 team members there, right? I got to be careful what I say. And that's probably recognizing those traits in yourself with your program would really help that.
Yeah, having that self-awareness, and then also having that others awareness and recognizing that we're not all the same, and just being aware of that fact. And when it comes to a team setting, when we work with teams, each individual team member gets their own workplace blueprint report of how they're wired and how they can best thrive in the workplace. And then there's a secondary analysis that we do that's a team report that shows how everybody is on the team, where they all fall, how your team coexists, where there might be some gaps that if you're planning to hire somebody, it can allow you to say, okay, so-and-so, or we have a lot of like detail-oriented people, but we don't have any big picture planner type person. So maybe next time that person would balance this out. So it allows you to really cater and pinpoint what you want on a job posting, or when you're interviewing somebody, you're looking for those keywords of a big picture thinker that would bring us to the team. So you're looking past just skills and experience. You're finding somebody that actually fits with the team, that actually works with the team culture, that will actually bring it all together. And then leadership, when you know what your employees need to thrive, because one thing we obviously leadership will get a high level view of all the employees. They will not get their direct raw results. That's unique to the employee. So that's one thing we pride ourselves on, some privacy there for the employee, so it doesn't skew results thinking, I'm going to answer it the way I think my manager wants to hear this, or my leader. But then from a leader's perspective, when they have what they know in the blueprint, they'll say, Joe over here, when this is how they show up when they're stressed. And this is what some things that really helps them get through stressful moments. So then what they need. If you're saying, okay, that person's looking kind of stressed, maybe they just need a few minutes, and I'm going to go say, hey, you need a few minutes. This is me saying it's okay to take a break right now. And that's all they need, right? So it's being able to have that clarity on what your individual people need to thrive in the workplace or any relationships, really.
Yes, you make some good points there. You're getting deep, but that's what this is all about. I think the one thing that kind of hits home for me somewhat is like when you started saying like, hey, if you're missing big picture people, you better get them in, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa, right?
Yep.
And I have to admit, when you're a one-person shop, I'll tell you a little bit about our history. I just know when I went through coaching and DISC helped that, but it would have been nice if I had a higher level of that or a deeper dive into that. But I'm a very high I, and I'm a very high, like, D, or I'm a high I, and then I got D in me, right?
Yep.
And I'm not detail schmetails, right? Like, not a big deal to me. Let's get moving. If it's 70% done, I'm moving on, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But I hate to say it, in companies, you need people like that because that's what drives the company forward. That's what gets more work in the door, right?
Yes.
But on the opposite side, if you have if I was more of a very analytical, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's good because you get jobs completed, you get them done at a high level.
Yep.
But it's almost like they start getting into that paralysis by overanalysis thing.
Yes.
So you need both of them.
Absolutely.
Those type
100%.
to really lead a good company.
Yep.
And it's so amazing that your program will deep dive into more of that rather than just very light. I'm saying what I'm saying is, yes, everybody should understand at least the basis of it.
Yep.
But getting that extra level of it is huge.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Being able to strategically hire, strategically make your team to fit not only the culture, but to fit each other. And it's like putting a puzzle together, right? You got to find those right pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And going back to labels, I got to admit, I'm not a big labeling fan. And it all starts from, I hate to say it, you ever have that Stouffer's frozen lasagna?
Yes.
They labeled me as a family of 4.
Hey, you know what? They make really great lasagna. If you want to eat it all in one sitting, totally okay.
They do. Exactly.
I love that.
So with that, let's cut to a break and we'll be back shortly.
All right. Sounds good.
Anoka Meals on Wheels, a nonprofit organization that I proudly support, delivers more than just nutritious meals to seniors in our community. They deliver connection, care, and peace of mind. Their volunteers don't just drop off food. They check in, share a smile, and ensure our neighbors know they're not forgotten. I know because I am one of those volunteer drivers. Help us keep serving those who need it most. Visit mowanoka.org to volunteer, donate, or learn more about Anoka Meals on Wheels. Nourishing bodies and spirits, one meal at a time. Tired of lugging heavy bags of water softener salt from the store? Twin Sea Heating, Air, and Electric now delivers premium water softener salt right to your home in returnable, reusable 20-pound containers to go green and light enough to save you from injury. Serving the north suburbs, we're your neighbors who know how hard our water is. No more running out of salt and dealing with spotty dishes and stiff laundry. Quality salt, reliable delivery, local service you can trust. Because at Twin Sea Heating, Air, and Electric, we don't just keep your home comfortable, we keep your water soft and your life easy. Twin Sea Heating, Air, and Electric, now with water softener salt delivery. Call today or visit us online. If you're enjoying the show, we'd really appreciate it if you could take a second to hit that subscribe button. It helps us reach more listeners, and if you're really feeling generous, because it will help a lot of other small businesses that we have on the show and people promoting, it would mean the world to us. It only takes a minute, but it makes a huge difference in helping other people discover our show. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Twin Sea Tales for behind-the-scenes content, episode updates, and more. And Rachel, this is the part where we bring in some photos that you might not have seen in a while.
The embarrassment part.
Yes, and depending on, the if your husband did what you told him to do and he didn't feel like you got nagged, he might not have any compromising pictures of you in here.
I told him to have free reign with what he could find.
Gotcha. So this first picture is...
Oh, wow. Blonde.
Yes. I never pictured you as a blonde. Was this, how old were you there?
This was in college.
Was it?
Yep.
Up at UMD?
Up at UMD. Yep.
Okay.
That was my second year, I believe. And yeah, I went all blonde, long hair, bangs, all of it. Yeah. Back when I also like to really get into doing my makeup too. And that's Kat. She's lovely. She now lives out in New York City. Yep. So that's a good time. That's a fun picture.
You do make some of your most lifelong friends in college. In high school, it just feels like so hard, right? Like, and every just thing seems like it's the whole world. But I feel like it's after college, and even like when you're in business and you have a networking group of people, like working with women.
Yep.
I mean, I love that group. I think it's amazing. It's much better than other professional networking groups because the women in there actually bond, right? Like,
yes,
it's not superficial like in
Yeah.
other business networking groups sometimes
Yeah.
can be. I'm not saying all of them are, but I've been to quite a few of them, and
Yep.
you just can sense the superficial.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That one is a great group of women, and there's a lot of support, and I feel like it's not. You don't just leave it at support either, or leave it at the door. You don't leave the support at the door. There's always that following up and checking in, and I see many of them outside of that as well. But where I first met them was at Working with Women, so
Yeah,
it's a great group.
it's a great group. Metro North Chamber, fantastic organization.
Yep. Okay. So that one does have my husband peeking through the corner.
Yes.
That was when I was in my fedora hat phase, apparently, back in my 20s. And that's Tiffany. And that, I believe, is Brad in the corner. But that was when we were living in Florida. We were actually at a Twins. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were at a Twins spring training because we lived just down the road from where they spring train in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
And Tiffany is from New York, which is why she's got her New York Yankees necklace on, and that's where we were probably there watching the Twins play the Yankees. And yeah, that she's goofy. She's goofy. She's so smart, and she still lives in Florida. Brad still lives in Florida. Yeah.
There's always that different person that jumps right
Yep.
into the picture, right? Like, I'm going to do
Yep.
something completely different,
Yeah.
which kind of makes me think of you with this Insperai. What is the big difference with your program?
Yeah. So other than we look at it from multiple angles, multiple parts of your personality, we mesh these assessments together. The other thing we do that is unique is we don't just stop at assessing somebody. Within taking the assessment, we ask open-ended questions about what are their goals, what are their obstacles, what are their predominant stressors that they're going through, what are your hobbies and interests. So then when we are running the analysis, it's connecting it back to those human parts of the person, the real lived experiences that are going on. So the results are ultra customized, ultra personalized, not just, you are a score or a type or a label based on this and here's your insights. It's here's who you are. Here's the things that are going on in your life and what may have actually affected the parts of your personality, or your personality might have affected those. And here's what we can do about it. If you put your goal down based on how you're wired, these are the exact tools, strategies, resources, recommendations for you to reach that goal.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So you're just getting more deeper data
Yes.
from those. How long does it take to do the assessment test?
20 to 30 minutes.
20, 30
yeah.
minutes.
You can save it and return to it, but if you just do it in one sitting, 20, 30 minutes.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, some of those questions, like, you're like, what does one have to do with the other? But you answer it, and it's still,
Yep.
I feel like those tests are pretty accurate. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. And analyzing that picture, your friend who's different and a Yankees fan.
Yes,
I can already
that
tell.
explains it all. And then he's a Cubs fan. You can tell I'm stuck between two. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the next picture is,
Aw.
I know, right?
It's our wedding.
I saw that. Where'd you have your wedding at?
We got married at the Landmark Center in downtown St. Paul.
Oh, that's a beautiful place.
Gorgeous. We did both
Yeah.
the ceremony and the reception right there, and it was it was a big to do.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
And because we used to go down there for cultural dance. They used to do like the different, it's not around anymore, but it was so cool. They had all the different countries that would perform dance there. And they also say that place, that Landmark Center, haunted.
So our theme, we had a theme for our wedding, because I mean, when we got engaged, we said we either want to do a tiny wedding on like an island somewhere and just invite a few people, or we were going to go and have this extravagant party that everybody's going to remember and just like one of the best times of their lives. And so Nate's parents were like, well, we definitely want to be there, and the whole family wants to be there. And I'm like, okay, well then we're throwing a big party. And I have always loved the 20s and the Roaring 20s, whatnot. So our theme was Great Gatsby, Roaring 20s. And at the Landmark Center, they actually do tours, ghost tours and prohibition tours, because it used to be the federal courthouse. So that was part of our wedding party the day before. Fun things that we had to do was we took a tour of the place and learned about the history and the ghosts and that. So that was fun. But it was a lot of fun. We said people can either do black tie or dress in period attire. So we had some people that were flappers and like gangster whatnot, and then we had people that were like dressed to the nines, and it was a lot of fun.
How fun is that?
Yeah.
And did you enjoy the ghost tour?
Yeah, and learning a lot about it and the history of the different rooms and whatnot. We just did it in the Landmark. I would love to. I have not done like the Wabasha Street Caves.
I've done that.
I want to do that now that they've reopened.
I got to tell you the story that happened to us there.
Okay.
We did it around the Halloween when they were promoting the ghost tours.
Yeah.
And they'll bring you through all the different rooms, and they kind of tell you what's happened here, and they talk about Capone, and then they brought us into another room, and they wanted to show us how dark it was, right?
Yeah.
And so they shut off the light, and like 2 seconds later, the kid next to my wife fell over, and the glasses like he just like buckled, apparently.
Gives you chills.
Yes, it was like the weirdest thing. And my wife screamed really loud.
Yeah.
And they got the lights back on, and we couldn't find his glasses anywhere. And the kid must have been like, I don't know, I want to say about 10 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
It wasn't staged. And he said that he just felt something cold, and then he fell.
Yeah.
Like he just like fell over.
Wow.
It was the weirdest thing.
Wow.
That's the closest thing I've ever come to an apparition.
So I have a similar story. Short. We were in North Carolina. We would go up there to a cabin that our friend had from Florida, so we can get our like up north feel. And we did a wine tour in these various wineries, and one of them was actually in the northeast corner of Tennessee. We were close to that border, and it was an old schoolhouse. And so we were there, and they were talking about how, it's haunted, and they have like these little plaques, whatnot. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And we're just sitting at the bar, and all of a sudden these wine glasses just fall, or not wine glasses, wine bottles just fall onto the counter. And we're like, okay, that's interesting. And she's like, oh, that's just so-and-so. He's our resident ghost. He used to be like a janitor or something at the school back in like the 40s or 50s. And, you know, he likes to every now and then just remind us that he's here and the guests. I'm like, okay. So similar kind of thing was like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they were not placed well. They just
you're right. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah.
The other thing that's close to us that you can visit too, I don't know if you've done that yet. Anoka has a ghost tours, which is kind of fun.
I have not done that one yet either.
Yes. They are really neat. I love ghost tours. The other one that I'm going to try is Minneapolis trolley tours. They take you around downtown and they bring you the old places like the gangsters and the old time stuff. So that's really cool.
I would like to do all of that.
Yes, you need to, Rachel.
Yes.
And
yeah, that's me. I'm me and my cheesy smile when I was little. Bangs again. I apparently, I brought it back in college. But that is my grandmother's Shih Tzu.
oh,
God,
that's a big Shih Tzu.
I was little.
You were little
I was-
too,
yeah.
but it's still a pretty good size Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
For a Shih Tzu.
I cannot remember her name. Tasha? No, I don't remember her name, but I remember that's. Apparently I wanted to lift her up, and that must have been Christmas time. I don't know when, but yeah, I've always loved dogs.
Well, I get the feeling when I show you the next picture, you just seem to be such an animal lover.
Yes, there I am. Yeah, that's actually up on the North Shore. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. Yeah, it is North Shore. That's Lake Superior, and that is my rabbit Cinnamon. I had 2 rabbits growing up. Not at the same time. This one I had first, and he was the best rabbit. Like, we treated him like a cat or a dog. We brought him with us places. He has his little leash, and we would walk him, and he was the best rabbit ever. Just amazing. Then I had Oreo after that. Oreo was not so nice. He didn't want anybody near him or nip at them, and compared to Cinnamon. But yeah, we were the weird people that were walking our rabbit on a leash. Yeah.
Although in California, I did see somebody walking a darn duck.
Oh, that's different.
With boots on the duck's feet. It was the weirdest thing. Yes.
Wow.
I got to pull up that picture and show you sometime. But yeah, the duck had little boots on it.
That's funny.
Like that. It was in San Francisco.
That's funny.
But you were such a little animal lover.
I am.
And so
I like to smile that way, apparently, too. Both of them were the exact same.
Well, you had good teeth. You didn't have hockey teeth, so that was good.
Yeah. Eventually, I had to get braces at some point, but yeah.
So if you could go back in time and give that little girl some advice, what would that be?
I would say always try to find the good in everything, because there's going to be a lot of crappy stuff coming through your life and everybody's life. But just know that there is some really great positive things in the world, and to always look to the positive light. And
That's
fantastic. Keep your feet there.
I after having this conversation with you, knowing what you've been through, and just you are amazing. I mean, that's what you live by, right? Keep things positive, and what you've gone through in the past. It's fantastic. Who's someone you would love to hear in this podcast, and why?
Oh, that one's pretty easy. There's a lot that I would love to, but I think Jen Thomas, who is at the park, would be amazing. She loves helping people. She has a real heart for wanting to help everybody and to the best of her ability. And she comes from helping those that are less, have less than us, whether that's human trafficking or, she's been a foster parent for she would be amazing to hear her story and how she is got to where she is.
She's fantastic. I've talked to her at some of these events, and she used to be with Buff City Soap.
She did. Yep.
She's so athletic too. I think she played hockey, didn't she, in college? Or high school hockey?
Oh my gosh.
She played hockey.
I know her son plays hockey.
Yeah.
But Jen's probably like, Rachel, how do you not remember this? But I don't remember that part. I just know she loves to run.
Yes.
Loves to run.
Yes.
And she's always running for a cause, because she's also very purpose driven and wants everything she does to have some purpose and fulfillment and helping others and expanding that reach, impact.
It's kind of funny you say that, because the park is right up the street from us here.
Yep.
And every once in a while, I think I've seen her like 3-4 times now.
Yep.
My road, Radisson Road, that runs by my building here.
Yep.
I'll see her running along that little trail between here and park.
Yes.
It's kind of funny. I'm like, for me, I don't do that much running like I once thought I should do running, but
I'm not a runner either. In fact, I have a shirt that says I hate running that I bought probably 15 years ago to be funny that I was going to wear it when I was running one time. And I don't run,
You
so
haven't had
I've
to
never worn it. It's still there. The hope is still there. But she's very athletic. And also like what they're doing at the park is something very unique. And I think it would be really cool to hear because it's not just a gym. It's a whole wellness center.
Yes.
Yep.
I was there for the or the ribbon cutting.
Yep.
And yes, they're another different, right?
Yep.
Being different. I mean, I think that's huge. That's what makes this world go around.
Yes.
I think you with your Insperai and how different that is. And, one of our taglines here is feel the difference, right?
Yep.
We want people to be different. We embrace differences here.
Yep.
That's the amazing thing.
Yeah. And
so
I was just going to say, similarly, my personal tagline that I've adopted recently is own your wiring, change the game. So it's similar to what you've got. Like own that you're different.
Yeah.
Accept it and then do something about it and everything will change.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to change that to that. My saying used to be, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Right. Yeah, right. And then if you don't like it, change it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And this is the part where I actually got some going away gifts for you.
Oh.
Well, not the bucket itself.
Oh, I don't get.
You didn't get a free bucket of salt.
Salt? Oh, darn. Winter's coming up and we all like our salt.
Yes. But obviously everybody gets like
I
a
love
mug
it.
for being
I love
a little
it.
momentum of being on the podcast. On top of that, a little trophy.
Oh my gosh.
With your name on it.
Oh, cute.
Thank you for being amazing here. And
I love it.
It's kind of funny because we had a conversation and I know you like to read.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon Sinek is one of my favorite authors.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book called Start With Your Why.
I love it.
Have you read that book yet?
I have not.
Yeah.
I've had maybe bits and pieces based on different things, but I am a big believer in your why and understanding your why.
We said
So
that
I love
earlier
it.
in the podcast.
Yep.
You were
Yep.
talking about that. And
Yep.
that's
I love it.
huge to us. And I figured, because you did say that you hadn't read that book
Yep.
yet. And I thought, that's one of the books that I try and get my team members to read.
Yeah.
Because really it's about your passion. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, right, it's stress.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it, right?
Yes. I think understanding your why, your deep intrinsic motivator is the reason you're going to get up when everything else seems like it's falling apart. And it's your beacon. It's your guiding post of why you do what you do. So uncovering that is vital, in my opinion.
It is. It is so vital.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Wyman.
Can't thank you enough for being on Twin City Tales podcast. If you want to learn more about Rachel, you can visit her website at Insperai.com. That's IN as in Nancy, S as in Sam, P as in positivity, E as in Edwards, R as in Rachel, AI as in artificial intelligence.com.
You got it.
Again, that's Insperai.com, or visit us at Twin Sea Tales Facebook page. We will post on there. And as we roll out of here, I want to thank Chris Hockey again for the use of his song Thanks, with no pun intended. This podcast is powered by Twin Sea Heating, Air, and Electric. Everything in the mechanical room needed, we can provide that for you at Twin Sea Heating and Electric. And until the next show, you can't go wrong with Wine and Wine on Twin Sea Tales podcast.
This song goes out to my family, to all the ones who died before me. I'm sure the family life made you do things you never wanted to, so I wrote this